morning, everyone. So I can't see everyone's picture. So if anyone does have a question, please pop it in the chat and Emily can either smack me on the side or interrupt me. So let's crack on into how to self-commission for commercial photography. So first of all, we need to have the definition of commercial photography versus private photography. So commercial photography allows someone else to make money from your images. That's the easiest and most understandable definition of commercial photography. You are also tied to more of a brief and creativity from your client than you are when you're privately commissioned. When you're a commercial photographer, the first thing you have to think about is who is your buyer. So when we're commissioned privately, our buyer is the person who's going to be in the images. Whereas when you're commissioned commercially, your buyer might be a brand, it might be a sponsor, it might be a rider, but it is a business to business purchase. So they're much more interested in the outcome for their business rather than just a nice warm feeling that they look great in the images. The lovely thing about commercial photography as well is that you don't necessarily sell one image once. You have the opportunity to sell these images over and over again to multiple businesses, people, riders, sponsors, brands, whatever it might be. And this is the joy in self-commissioning, is that you can take the pressure off the actual photo shoot, you can commission something for yourself, and then you start selling those images over and over and over again to many different genres throughout the business world. Lovely thing about this as well is it's worldwide coverage. So you imagine you're doing a story with a New Forest countryside. You may well get a magazine in Canada who's interested in traveling to the UK, to the New Forest, and therefore that company in Canada would purchase an image from you. So again, unlike private commissions where you may be constrained by traveling, with commercial photography, whatever you shoot can be sold worldwide. Yes,
please really quickly. Yeah, because if there are people waiting to come in, I don't know how to do that.
I'm letting them in.
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
So you're on tech and presentation.
Multitasking, only because it's flipping them. It's flipping them up.
Oh, fine.
Okay. So also one of the things Emily and I have taught for the last, let's say 10 years, but in reality we're old enough that we have been teaching for 20 years, is that when it comes to private commissions, you need to niche down. You need to be the expert in equine portraits or the action shots or motion or fine art equine. But the better known you are for a specific expertise, the more you can charge, the better your clients, the more they'll hear you, the more they want to book you. With commercial photography, business to business, they want to know you can do the job. So if you could be photographing a dressage rider on the Monday, doing some pole work. You could then be photographing country clothing on the Tuesday, maybe doing something with dogs on the Wednesday. You don't have to niche down to a specific area with commercial photography. You need to be good at what you do and you need to bring your style into it. So like this shot here that I shoot for Cordings, one of the reasons they book me is because I'm a portrait photographer. So I'm thinking about the people all the time. There is, bless you, Joss, there is someone out, she's the only one on my screen. See, I have stylists on these photo shoots that are taking care of the clothes. And I have someone else taking care of the props. So I'm in charge of creating beautiful portraits, but I can do that whether it's a gun dog shoot, whether it's a clothing shoot, whether it's something to do with a dressage rider. As long as I'm bringing my expertise, my understanding of people and horses, I will photograph anything. And just remember, with commercial photography, you are dealing with businesses. So you definitely want to have your workflows set up. You want to have your preparation guides. You need to know how to create a proper brief because when it's business to business, they need these images to make them money. So they need to understand when you're going to turn up, what are you going to do, and how are you going to deliver the images. Speaking of which, let's talk about self-commissioning. So many of you will be aware that a business would phone up Hannah Freeland Photography and would say, hey, we've got a set of joppers and some boots that we want photographed. We've got a rider that we work with. Can you come and do that? How much is it going to cost me? How many images are going to be produced? And what can I do with those images afterwards? That can be really, really daunting, because the first answer is, I don't know how much I should charge for this. I don't know where they can use these images. Should I just give these images without a license? Should I be licensing these images? What about use of the images? Can they use them worldwide? Can they use them once? Can they use them digitally, or can they use them in print? And normally when we're teaching commercial photography, this is when 80–90% of photographers go, no, way too complicated. I don't understand licensing. I don't understand the pricing. If I'm £400 for a private shoot and most of my clients spend £1,200, does that mean that I, for a commercial shoot, should be £1,600 because it's a shoot and burn type of process? You do the photo shoot, you deliver the digitals. But that's not true, because remember, commercial photography, your business, the person that's commissioning you, is going to make money from your images. Whereas a private shoot, those images are for themselves. So if you're shooting for someone like Holland Cooper, and you shoot their new coat and it brings them in £150,000, you don't want to be selling them that image for £20. However, if you're shooting with the local tack shop and they just need a load of images for their website, they're not going to spend £3,000 on one high-res image, because it's not going to make them £3,000. So again, this is why most photographers say, no, I can't cope with the commercial side of it. It's too difficult. I'll stick with the private. And this is why this webinar exists today, because self-commissioning is where you can start to dip your toe into it. You've taken the pressure off, it will build your confidence, and also you can iron out any of those things that you're worried about. So booking models, booking locations, getting the actual shots. How many images are you going to produce from this type of shoot? So for self-commissioning, the top things I want you to remember is that it's going to build your confidence, it's going to build your portfolio, and you may commission yourself and think, I'll go and photograph some pole work. I've got a local yard, it's a dressage training yard. I know they do a lot of pole work. I'm going to go and photograph that. And you turn up and they go, yep, so we do it all in the indoor school. And you think, oh, crumbs, that's going to be hard. Okay, indoor school. Okay, well, as long as I stand near the entrance or the exit of the school, I'm going to have enough light there to capture that part of the pole work. And then you start walking around, you think, oh, the angles aren't very good and it's not very interesting. And actually, if I'm going to photograph pole work, who's going to buy these images from me? One, it could be the yard, the rider. Two, it could be a magazine who's doing an editorial about pole work. But really, those are the two things. So by self-commissioning, you're going to work out what you enjoy photographing, what you're good at photographing, and who your buyer, what your avenues would be to sell the images after self-commissioning. Also, when you're self-commissioning, you can build clients really easily. I'm sure all of you have seen over the last few years that Emily and I have done model calls often, and it's always for a creative collection. Now, it might be if we're going for a fellowship with the British Institute of Professional Photographers, or something with the RPS, or something with the MPA, or whatever governing body. It could be that we're creating a new creative collection. But it also could be that we're working with a commercial client who has said, we need, one of the ones that was that I did recently was a husband and wife. A client of mine needed a true husband and wife who kept their horses together at home, and they needed their products to be photographed with a very normal husband and wife family with 2 horses. But that's a great way. If you're self-commissioning, you come up with that concept. But that client, one could be a model going forward for commercial clients, two could become a client of your own. They loved the images you produced of them and they book you privately. So all of this self-commissioning, even though you've taken the pressure off yourself for the outcome, you're constantly creating wonderful connections within the country or equestrian or dog world. Also working with models. So up and coming models who don't want to walk the catwalk, maybe they want to break into the modeling world, but they want to do more things for country magazines or high-end magazines, but they need to start somewhere and they need great images. But if you can start connecting with people who are going to come into this industry professionally, not only will you be able to book them in the future, but they'll be able to recommend you in the future. So it's a great opportunity to make a connection here. Self-commissioning as well gives you the opportunity to be truly creative. We're going to go through this in the next slide, but there are no limits when it comes to self-commissioning. You can honestly think, I'm going to photograph a Range Rover with the best Hermes blankets. I'm going to want dogs in there, guns, whatever it wants to be. Write it all down and be as creative as you want it to be. Also, you could do something like, I want to capture someone in their wedding dress with a black horse because I just want to know how to do it and I want it to be in my portfolio. And this is a great, you never know where that image will be sold in the future. So be really, really creative and always try new things. If you're unsure, self-commissioning is the exact place to go and try it. There is no pressure with this one. You're not going to say to your model, I guarantee that I will produce 120 images from this shoot, all of them that you'll love, all frameable. This is very different to private commissions. You want to go and capture one shot. Obviously, you'll come away from your shoot with hundreds of shots on your camera, and that might narrow down to 20, 30, 40 final images. But you're not going to say to your client that she's going to get, or he's going to get 120 portraits. You're going to talk them through why you're doing this shoot and what one image you're looking to create. So it takes that pressure off of both of you. Before I move on, are there any questions?
Yeah, there's quite a few.
Okay.
Okay, I'm not sure.
I was going to say, do you want to come across?
Whether everyone can hear me. So, do you find businesses want sole rights to use the photos so you can't use them yourself to sell on again?
Repeat it, sorry.
Do you find businesses want sole rights to use the photos so you can't use them yourself, so you can't sell them on again? Yeah,
so all you would do is, if that comes up, then they have to buy an exclusive use to the image and you times the price by 10. I mean, that's a good rule of thumb. So say I've got an image that I photographed of Emily walking her dog across the New Forest, because that will sell to most magazines who are in the country lifestyle. It could sell to a tack shop down the road that just wants to give, this is the lifestyle we sell, guys. This is what you can look like and live by if you buy trousers from us. But if that tack shop wants that image that I cannot sell to anyone else, instead of it being a £35 photo, it's going to be a £350 photo. And you can say to them, you have exclusivity for 1 year, you have exclusivity for 5 years, or you have exclusivity, and you just write that image off. Don't ever, with commercial photography, overthink it. The clearer you can be and the more simplistic you can be for yourself and your client, the more the client will work with you, because it's easy. Never be too difficult for your client to buy from.
How many digitals would you usually expect the company want?
It really depends on what you're photographing. So if I'm shooting a spring collection for a clothing company, that we will get through, let's say, 15 to 20 outfits in a day, and that can equate to between 800 and 1500 images, because they are looking for so many different things. So if you think on their website, one outfit would have up to 9 images per outfit, and not every image I'm taking is going to be perfect. So you've got the clothes that wrinkle or a shadow that's occurred, and you have to clip a lot. So there's no magic answer when it comes to how many images. This is the point. When we go on to the next slide, I'm going to talk about briefing, but this is why you have to walk every client through. And that's why doing a self-commission irons out all the, not problems, but it irons out what you're good at, what you can deliver, what you enjoy photographing, so that when these tougher questions come up, all of that's taken care of, and you can concentrate on, okay, so you want to photograph a day in the life of a dressage rider. If I arrive at 7 a.m. and I leave at 7 p.m. and I photograph throughout the day, and you ride, let's say, 3 horses, the likelihood is you're going to produce between 400 and 600 images for them to look through. They're not going to be 600 bespoke, unique, different images. There's going to be, if he's riding 3 horses around a school, you're likely to end up with 100 images just of him riding, because you want to do the tacking up, the getting on, the talking to, maybe an assistant or someone else who's in the school with him, then the actual riding, then the thanking the horse. And there's so much that goes into it.
Okay, would you need everyone's permission and model release forms or property release forms from everyone you took photos of at a self-commission, i.e. at a pole work clinic?
Yes, to keep it super, super simple, you need permission of any face that's in your photo shoot, including the horse. So let's say this girl on the right doesn't own the horse on the left, but she is posing with the horse. I need her permission for a model release, but I also need the owner of the horse. I need that person's signature on a model release as well. Remember that as soon as I make money from someone else's face, I need permission to do that. That's why they release their model.
Agreement. They agree.
The only difference in that, and again, I would, if you're worried about it, just look up law tog, and there's a few online. But I do believe that if you are at a public event, so somewhere like badminton, I believe you are allowed to take a photograph of them doing the event, and you can sell. So if I took a photo of, William Fox Pitt jumping across country jump, I do not need William's model release in order to sell that image to a newspaper or magazine, because he's at a public event. Even though badminton's a private ground, he is at a public event. So he's already signed to say, but I do believe that's why accreditation occurs, because that's the agreement. The riders say, I agree for someone to make money from selling my image. But as an accredited photographer, I say, I agree that I've, paid my dues to be here in order to make money from those images.
Yeah. Where do you source models?
Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, friends and family, my circle of love, my yokel yards, my local yards, anyone who has a connection to the country, as in the countryside, dogs, horses, clothing, tack shops, anyone can model for you, anyone.
And I think lots of people get
hello.
Lots of people get concerned that models will be all sort of a bit like standoffish about them being published in magazines or whatever, but actually 98% of people are absolutely flattered that you would want to photograph them, that you would then be able to sell them on, and also that magazines would want to publish them. So and just to be clear, there may be the odd 1 or 2 people that think, oh, hang on a second, if you're selling my image for £1,000, then don't I get a cut? Well, that's not really the reality of it. 1, models, or 2, what's actually happening. Like Hannah said, it may be a £35 image, but you potentially can sell that image 10, 20, 30 times. So don't worry too much about the model thing, because actually most people are delighted.
Just to say that if you do attend our 2-day course, we're going to talk all about model releases and also what you can gift your model in return for modeling for you. Because that's a big thing. One of the top tips I would give you, two more, sorry. One of the top tips I will give you is to make a model feel amazing and super confident about what you're doing. Is I always say to them, before any of these images are released to the public, to my sales force, you get final sign off. So that they know that if one of the images or two of the images they don't like their face or the angle, and they'd be really gutted if that was the one image that turned up on the side of a lorry for Dodson and Horrell, I always give my models the final call. Now, that's a personal thing. It's never, touch wood, it's never meant that my best image of a set was taken out of for sale because the model said, oh, I don't like myself in that. Because most people that offer to model for you actually do want to be in an image, so that's great. But I give them final sign off. And I give also, when I work with famous riders, I also give them final sign off as well. Even though if I'm commissioned by a magazine, technically the magazine don't really want you doing that. But I have found that over the last 20 years, I have got such great connections with famous riders. So I can call them up and say, hey, Mary, I need a quick shoot with this product for your sponsor. And she'll give me half an hour of her day because she knows she can say, I don't like how my neck looks in that, or whatever it is. We take that image out and then those images go to the magazine. So it's a big top tip from me.
So I was lying, there were 4 questions, but I think you might be answering some of them later in the presentation.
Okay, so I'll answer that.
Do you get photo credit in a publication? No.
No, if it's paid for, no. You can do, it's always nice, but make sure that whatever you're charging means that if they don't give you a photo credit, you're like, nah, okay.
It's better to get paid than to get your name written.
I tell you what, if any of you, however 100 people we've got in this webinar right now, if any single one of you can say to me, I got a great private commission because someone read my name on the side of Horse and Hound on an event, I'll give you 2 days with us for free.
That's great.
Just ignore them. But I would bet my hat on it that no great clients read the Horse and Hound and go, hang on, who's the photographer? I'll contact that person. It's always nice to show in your PR folder, but ultimately you get paid for images.
Are you paying people involved in helping you create these images?
So that is on the stylist, the makeup artist, the location, the models. You're just going to have to join us for the 2 days if you want that answer.
Oh, okay.
It's a big answer, but self-commissioning, where you start here, you can use your friends and family and you can pay them in images. Nothing wrong with doing that.
Yeah. So for the horse, you need a property release from the owner rather than a model release.
No, you need a model release.
Property is only for buildings.
And recognisable buildings as well, I think. Yes. So I think you can.
But also bits of art and stuff.
Yeah.
You do need to do a little bit. Yeah, you do need to do a little bit of research. Yeah. But essentially. But
don't let it freak you out. Do not let it freak you out. So many photographers get to this point and go, no, it's just too hard.
Just a model release.
Don't let me and Emily just take this industry by storm. Come and,
how do you start approaching publications?
I went forward, hang on. How do I start approaching publications? Well, by self-commissioning, creating amazing portfolio, and we will come to that because it's a great question.
Okay.
That's
it. Yeah.
Lovely. Okay, so here's an example. I grabbed this photo from Google, so apologies, probably broken loads of rules, but I grabbed this because it reminded me of about 15 years ago. I really wanted to work with a business called Berger, and they were the most beautiful furniture that they sourced from France. They went over there once a month and they just bought all the sort of furniture that I adore and love and would love in my house, but I can't afford it. So I really wanted to work with them because I knew I could be super creative with this French furniture, and it's something slightly different to equine, but it still made me fizz in my creativity. So to get in with them, I said to them, can I just come and photograph for an hour? I will grab a load of your products and I will photograph them in a setup, in a lifestyle setup. And they were like, yeah, I mean, we've got lots of armoires and things like that, so we're not going to be able to move them. So I mean, we've got like bits and bobs, I suppose you. And I said, can I just come for a morning and I'll just show you what I can do? And I set up a scene just like this. They happen to have a wild meadow behind their barn in Dorset. And I took a little picnic set up, and I took all the things that really added up to what they love and what they like to sell to their clients. And I set this little setup like this, showed them the image, and then I photographed once a month for them, just for their online shop and their marketing. And I went there once a month, I grabbed all the bits, I photographed around the shop, and then I'd grab a few bits and I'd create these scenes. And then they'd have a load of content for Instagram, for their website, for their postcards. They did little business cards with a different image on, but it meant I was getting creative. What they did also say was I was allowed to sell these images onto other businesses, which meant that if Chic and Country saw that image, they could have bought this type of image for their front page. So I can make more money out of it. So let's take Berger out, and let's say that we're going to pick a genre. Emily, can you just pick a genre? Like gun dogs.
Gun dogs.
Well done.
Good.
So I've decided that this month I want to go and self-commission myself to photograph gun dogs. So also I'm going to pick a descriptive word. And the reason I do this is if you walk out onto the New Forest and go, okay, gun dogs. Okay, that gun dog's doing something. Watch it. If you pick a descriptive word as well, so something like powerful.
Working?
Powerful.
Okay.
This is why it's lovely to be a creative, because you always come up with something different to the next creative person. So my genre is gun dogs. My descriptive word is powerful. I'm going to look through my friends and family first. Well, my friend here, Emily, yes, happens to have a trained gun dog. So I can call up Emily and say, I want to do a creative shoot. I want to just test. I want you to train your dog, but I want to focus this shoot on being powerful. So we'd have a little talk about it. And even as I'm saying this, I'm thinking, oh, do I want the dog to be powerful? Or maybe I could photograph the trainer, Emily, being powerful, being in control. Who is in control? Is the dog in control, or is Emily in control? The bigger story you can put behind images, the more want they'll have behind them, the more reason they'll have behind them. And images are storytelling. You'll sell much more storytelling images than you ever will, you know, a simple product. You know, if you can go and photograph a can of Coke, that's great, but only Coke's going to buy it. Whereas if you can photograph a dog doing training, you can sell it to the New Forest, because that's where we're going to shoot. You can sell it to dog magazines. You can sell it to local dog trainers for their website, because this is a stock image. It doesn't have to be of them. Pet shops, tax shops, whatever. So I'm looking through my friends and family first, only because it slightly takes the pressure off. If you're doing a Facebook call, and let's say you work with someone that you've never met before, you do have to make sure you produce something for them as a thank you for their time. Whereas if I'm working with Emily, she can just give me her time. She's my mate. So if I don't have someone, she's like, if I don't have someone in my inner circle, my friends and family, who's got a working gun dog, and I'm really sure that this is what I want to do, then I would go onto Facebook, onto Instagram, and I'd be very specific. I'm looking for someone who has got a trained gun dog that you train yourself, who's willing to model for me for a creative collection. And email me for more information. You'll notice if you look through our model calls, we always say, email me. And the reason is it's so quick and easy to DM or send a quick message on Facebook going, yeah, I'm up for modeling. When do you want it? If you make them email you, they are actually interested. They are the ones who will give you their time. If they just send you a quick message through Facebook, you watch how many people, Emily's just closed Zoom. You see how many people, they ghost you, they're not quite interested, or they're like, oh, what, so I don't get all the images from the photo shoot included. Make them jump through one hoop, and those are your serious models. And then create a mood board. Don't worry that you're never going to copy someone else's image, or we're telling you don't copy. Be inspired by someone else's image. So you can take this image right here of a wild meadow and 2 chairs, a table and a cake set up. You want to go and try that, but what else could you do? So you could make an Alice in Wonderland theme. You could make it a, what's the Dr. Dolittle theme? So to make it a Dr. Dolittle theme, what do you need to add? I mean, I don't know if anyone's got a hippo or a giraffe in their back garden, but the more creative you can be as well with self-commissioning, the more your buyer will think, well, I can't get that image anywhere else. So it doesn't really matter how much it is. Even if it's £300 for that one image sold that magazine over and over and over. It's why they put it on the front cover. You know what it's like when you go into a huge WH Smith and you're scanning all the magazines. What you're looking at are the front covers imagery. So you're being sold by that one image. Most of the people within this webinar are sold on creative images. We're probably not sold on, Kate and William have a final bust up and that's it, it's all over. We're not really interested in that. We're more likely to be caught by something like this. And again, if you think about it, I mean, I know that I spend a ridiculous amount of money on magazines because I love them. The gun dog one in particular, I don't even have a dog, so figure that one out. But it's because the imagery is so beautiful, and it's £12.95 for that one magazine. But I don't care because I feel like I'm buying a bit of art. I'm being inspired by it. It feels nice to read it. It looks good on my coffee table. But that's because the Gun Dog magazine has invested in amazing photographers and amazing imagery. So make sure you create a mood board so that when you turn up on your photo shoot, you can look at your mood board and you think, okay, I'm going to try that image. I want to try and get something like that. So it might be that you, we saw, actually, Joss and I watched one the other day where someone tried to replicate a 1920 side saddle image, and she had it in front of her. And it was in black and white, and it was really beautiful. So they sourced an outfit that was as close as they could get. They worked out the angle that the shot was taken. They tried to get the backdrop exactly the same. But all it did was teach the photographer something new. Every time she took a shot, she was like, oh, I see what's happening here, because she was cropping through the horse's face, because that's what the original image was, because it's way more about the rider of that image. But by doing that self-commission, she worked out that you can get a horse image by cutting straight through the horse. It can be an equestrian image, but you've taken the creative option of cropping through a horse, because it's way more about the model. So every time you do a self-commission, you're going to learn something about yourself and your photography and your creativity. So make a mood board, Google something like Ralph Lauren, British lady, equestrian. See what comes up on those images. Start adding the ones that make your heart sing, and then go and try and replicate one of them. Just go and try and think, okay, all I want is someone wearing a red waistcoat with a white shirt, cream joppers, black boots, walking outside of her stables, no horse, just her walking with a whip in her hand and a hat under her arm. I want to capture it beautifully. But there's always an opportunity to sell that image to country magazines, to equestrian magazines, to brands, to tack shops. So this is why we self-commission, because what we need to do is fill our portfolio of absolutely beautiful images that are ready to be sold.
And actually what I love about, oh, you don't need to put me on the screen. What I love about self-commissioning is that actually for those photographers who do feel the pressure, and even more so in portrait photography, you know, this client's paid you, you're turning up, you've got to produce. With self-commissioning, you know, this image that we're looking at now, it's so simple.
Yeah.
It's so simple
Yeah.
and so easy for any one of us on this webinar today could go and set that up this afternoon and take a beautiful shot of a handful, 10 images of this various kind of setup, and there's no pressure.
That's a really good point. That's a really good point, that actually if you are overly nervous about this whole concept of private commissions or commercial commissions, why not start with no models? Start at home, go round your house with a basket and just pick things like candles, coffee table books, sculptures, things, you know, knickknacks that collect dust. They're all dust collectors, but we bought them because we love them. So go around your house, start collecting them, and then just see what you can do. Photograph them in your kitchen, in your sitting room, by a fireplace, out in the garden, on top of your car, whatever you want it to be. Start by self-commissioning yourself. Then there's zero pressure. Okay, let's create a brief together. So when you're self-commissioning, you still need to have your, what's a nicer word for knit together? You still need to have your ducks in a row.
Ducks in a row.
I know,
yes.
Lucy, I felt your telepathic ducks in a row, Han. You still need to have your ducks in a row. So on an A4 piece of paper or on a Word document, whatever you want to be, when you're self-commissioning, first thing you want to think of is, what's the outcome? So if we're looking at this image, the outcome is, I want to create something inspiring. It's creative. It's using some products. There's no people in it. There's no models or horses. It's country. So my outcome is that I want an image for my portfolio that will speak to country magazines or local tack shops or a furniture sale. But that's the outcome. Who are your models? In your brief, you must write down. So if this is my photo shoot to the right, my model is Laura Collett and her horse and the badminton trophy. I mean, I think the badminton trophy needs to come under its own model release. So those are my model. You need to write down, if Emily's modeling for me, Emily is my model and Woody, her dog, is my model. Are there any horses involved? And the reason we write all this down is it will remind you to say, oh, yes, there is a horse involved. Emily doesn't own that horse. Therefore, I need a model release for that horse. Where are you going to take your photos? What is your location? Do you need any permission to use that location? If you do need permission, don't freak out. You can offer to gift them a couple of images as a thank you for using their location. So don't freak out, but it has to be written down. I also, with every brief, I always look at the date and write the sunrise and sunset times on my brief, just because then I suddenly think, actually, I could get there if the sunrise, so if we're talking winter and the sun's rising at, 7:30, 8 o'clock, so it's quite late in the day, I mean, late for an early bird, then you can start your setup at 6:30 and get the sunrise. Now that's going to elevate that image. So again, if a buyer is interested, someone else took that image at golden hour at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and it's nice, but no one did it at sunrise. Therefore, oh, well, if yours is £80 and the next person's 50 quid, but yours is elevated, they're going to pay you the £80. So make sure you write down your location, your timings. All your models must be super aware and prepared for your shoot. So if you want to start shooting at 9 a.m, your models in your preparation, you should say your makeup and hair must be done, and we'll be starting the photo shoot at 9 a.m. I will turn up to the shoot at 8 a.m, but the shoot will start at 9 a.m. Then when you turn up at 8 and they haven't even brought the horse in from the field, that's because you haven't told them their timings. You must be ready and your horse must be ready to start shooting at 9 a.m. This is why briefs are super important for yourself as well. Do you need any props? So if we're looking to create the image before, we need table, chairs, tablecloth, napkin, some wooden boards, a cake stand, some nice old bottles, glasses that match. You can see there's a candle doodah thing in there, and some food. And there's probably a few other things that I've missed that I can't see, but you definitely need to write it all down, because there'd be nothing worse than having this amazing wild meadow location and the big props, and you've forgotten the tablecloth. Because in your vision on your mood board, the tablecloth softens the image so that it makes sense that it's in a meadow. Because I'm telling you, if you looked at that image without a tablecloth, you'd see straight through the legs, and it just breaks the image up. Okay, do you need hair and makeup? Every single one of us on this webinar is able to collaborate with a hair and makeup person who's local to us, because the one of the biggest, what's the word I'm looking for? Someone who recommends, biggest recommendations for hair and makeup artists comes from photographers. Because if you're working with a photographer for your wedding and they say, I always work with Hayley Marie for my makeup, that person's going to say, okay, well then I need your makeup artist, because I've seen your images, I love them, therefore to replicate that look, I need to work with the people you work with. So just again, put a makeup artist or hair artist call out on your Facebook or Instagram and say, I'm doing a private shoot, it's self-commissioned, it's just to see if I can do it, if I like doing this sort of thing. Would you be up for working with me? And of course, you would give them a set of images to use for their content as a thank you for their time. And they are using product as well. So they, unlike us, where we've had the outlay of our camera kit, they are going to use their makeup, their hair supplies. Although it's cheaper than a camera, it is actually taking money out of their pocket. Whereas if they needed to commission a full shoot with a photographer, it's going to cost £1,200, you know, it could cost £200, whatever it might be, but they need to invest in that. Whereas if you work on a creative collaboration together, you all win. Wardrobe. Are you supplying the wardrobe for your model? Are you going to have a chat with them and ask them whether they've got anything in their wardrobe? Are you unfussed with the wardrobe for your photo shoot? If you are, check yourself, because you need to be fussed. So make sure that you have narrowed down the look. So this goes all the way back to, what's my genre? Working dog. My descriptive word is powerful. So I don't want Emily turning up in a flowery dress and little ankle boots and a summer hat when my descriptive word is powerful. I want her in her leathers with her chains.
I don't have leathers or chains, just to be clear.
So therefore now I'm in charge of Emily's wardrobe, and I've got to go and source the leathers and the chains. But I certainly would want her in tweed. I'd want her fitted, maybe a nice pair of jeans, long country boots, but it all adds up into that descriptive word of powerful. And styling. Are we going black and white? Are we going vintage? Are we going muted? Are we going vibrant? What's your styling for this brief? Easy. And I think, oh, I am behind time.
Yeah.
Emily said I would be behind time. It's so unlike me. Okay, here's your workflow. Screenshot this, guys. I mean, this is being recorded, but your workflow is for self-commissioning. Create a brief. This is for you and for your clients. Make sure you book everyone in. There is nothing worse than turning up to the yard and the yard manager doesn't know that you're turning up to do a photo shoot. So make sure everyone is aware of your timings, the location, and what's expected of them. Book everyone in. Prepare the models and the location and the horses. Prepare their outfits and styling. Then you have your shoot day, all fun, all easy, all dandy. Process your images, make sure you back them up as well. Edit them clean. And the reason I say editing them clean, you'll see from this little set of images. So this is just a ride out at Lucknam. One of the things I make sure I do is I leave empty space in commercial images. So in my private images, I'm nicely cropped, I'm tight, because it's only about that horse and rider. When it comes to commercial, they're going to want to overlay text on them, or they might want to put it behind something. They might want to use it as a postcard with their logo on top or their logo beneath. So you'll notice at the bottom left, it's giving you the lifestyle feeling. I wasn't in charge of the wardrobe here but their colours are bright red for Lucknam, so I didn't have a choice. But you'll see that I've left a load of empty space on the right-hand side, and that is on purpose so that a logo can go to the top right and they can have some spiel about their riding. So when I say edit clean, commercial images, they don't want lots of poo in their images, as in horse poo.
I think everyone realised.
Okay, that's great. That's good. But you can't go too creative with your edits, because commercial buyers need the images to sing, but they cannot sing more than what they're trying to sell. So if anyone does want to see some really amazing commercial dog photography, go and buy Gun Dog Journal. It is £12.95. But even the cover is a matte laminated cover. It's the most beautiful magazine, and you'll see how clean those images are. They are clean, clean, clean. Then create an online gallery. So when you're self-commissioning, you're also building up a stock library of images ready to sell. And you're building up your portfolio, and you're building your confidence, and you're building your client list and your model list. You're building your creativity, your inspiration, what you're good at, your experience. There's nothing not to love about self-commissioning. So create an online gallery, split the images up. So if you've got horses galloping, they need to be in a folder that is horses in movement. If you've got ridden shots like this, so they must be split up, that if a business buyer is coming to your website and they need a country image with horses in, they should be able to find it easily, either by keyword or looking in the right folder. So even if you put the same image in 10 different galleries, that's fine. Not one image would go into one gallery. So horses in motion could also be under horses, could also be under field work, could be under, mare and foal, whatever it might be. But what I'm telling you is that any business buyer needs to be able to find the right image in a matter of minutes. They haven't got half an hour to sit going through your website. Connect with buyers. So this is your workflow. You've done your brief, you've booked everyone, you've done the shoot, you've edited the images, you've created the online gallery, and then you sit and go, well, why isn't everyone just buying my images? You have to connect with people who are going to buy with them. And the golden rule of the training barn is pick up the phone. You've got to pick up the phone. You need to send your links and prices once you've spoken to those connections, and you need to nurture those connections. We have it all the time. We've had people who have been desperate to get on a course, and then life just gets in the way. But because we're nurturing someone, they go, oh, yes, I did want to join that course. Yeah. No, yes, I will join. When is it? It's in 3 months. Fine, perfect. Yes, please send me the details. They always wanted to join the course, but life gets in the way. Exactly the same with magazines, with commercial buyers, with tax shops. Something else will just take their focus. But if you get a follow-up email and they go, oh, yes, I was going to buy that image from you. Oh, look, there's the link. Isn't that clever of her? Oh, yeah, I can just buy it through. Oh, and it's on PayPal. Perfect. Easy. Done. So that's your workflow. Questions.
Oh, excellent.
I'm going to take off the share screening so I can see people's beautiful faces. Right.
Oh, no. That's correct, Leslie. That was all about you.
Oh God.
Amazing.
Right, yes, I do have questions for you. Okay, some of them you did sort of vaguely, well, no, you did.
First of all,
yes.
Now that I can see everyone's faces, please put your hands up who's super excited to go and self-commission anything. Yay! So good. Okay.
So you did sort of answer part of these, so some will be one-word answers, others you may need a bit more explanation.
One-word answer would be a shock for me.
Okay, you mentioned stock image stock imagery. Where do you sell the images? Which platform / gallery?
So when I say stock images, I actually mean a stock of your images that you sell through your platform. I'm a great believer in making true connections with people, magazines, country people, sponsors, brands, equestrian brands, riders, where you are speaking to them on a monthly basis and either saying, what do you need content-wise? What do you need? What are you looking for? Or I've just taken these shots of William Fox Pit. Are you interested in any of them? That's the great thing about self-commissioning. I'm not a huge lover of selling through stock libraries like Getty, because you'll get about £1.20 for an image that, if you made a true connection with a local country magazine, say Hampshire Life, we've had front covers with Hampshire Life. We've also had editorials with Hampshire Life. And, you know, sometimes they'll spend, I mean, there's a certain huge horsey magazine that will spend all of £20 for a front cover image, but that is because photographers allow them to spend 20 quid on an image. But we've also, I work with a client who pays me £350 per image because they want what I'm shooting. So you're much better having a stock library on your website and then making and nurturing true connections with people.
Okay. I did a shoot with a friend's gorgeous litter of puppies last year. Feel it would be ideal for this. However, the puppies are now owned by other people. Would a model release form work if my friend were to sign it, as she owned them at the time, or would their new owners now need to give permission?
You mean phone a solicitor? I have zero. I mean, unless that puppy was so recognizable and would damage the breeding.
Yeah, that would be the same. Like, it's the same as if you sell your horse on.
Yeah,
if you
the
sign
images were owned by her at the time, so you would get her to sign the model release. But also remember, and it's a bit like GDPR, we all follow GDPR as much as we can. We do try to, obviously, but the people can only sue you if they've had damage.
Yes, so actually in that example, providing you're not selling to like a puppy breeding farm,
exactly,
to advertise there with their gun dog, then you know and that would damage the gun dog's breeding.
But so Emily and I we've sold images like this for the last 20 years, with private connections, with personal connections to magazines, to tax shops, whatever. And all of these questions are really relevant. However, they don't often actually occur. No. You always want to be safe and make sure that you've got, you know, agreements and contracts, and anything that could go wrong, make sure you've got it all backed up. But ultimately, you're working on a relationship with someone. So if they,
I was just going to say, the only time anything's ever come up in my 20-odd year career, I had a photographer friend working for a commercial holiday park, and she said to them she had got every release from all the children and the adults that were in the image, and she had in fact missed a child who was then on an advertising brochure, who it was in fact a looked after child, which the location of that child needed to be kept unknown. So it did backfire massively. But all you need to really ensure you do is that anyone and any model in your images cross the T's, dot the I's, get a model release form. That's all it is.
I mean, you could do what Emily did, and she shot for about a year using her mum, her husband, her stepdad, and her own children, and she's made an absolute fortune out of them.
Oh, more than a year, about 5 years.
And they keep appearing on Moonpig cards.
Yeah.
So you know. So don't, again, with commercial photography, don't fall into this overthinking hole, because it's super scary down there.
They also like real life.
Yeah.
You know, my family are real life people, you know, they're not supermodels or whatever. So It's true. We're not supermodels. But so you know, magazines like real life.
Yeah.
It's got to be polished, of course.
Well, it's photographed beautifully, so
Yeah.
that's the side.
Are you allowed to photograph a brand on a model for, say, a privately run tack shop, or would you be treading on the toes of how the brands itself want to be portrayed?
No, you can shoot. Right, two things I've got to say about this. You can absolutely shoot. So if Holland Cooper have their top in a local tack shop, and the tack shop want to promote that they're going to sell those tops at 35% off, and you're going to go and do a photo shoot, then you go and do a photo shoot. The tack shop has bought that product to sell from their shop. First of all, if you shoot it beautifully, Holland Cooper will take that image on Facebook or Instagram and will share it. That's great. And don't be upset that they haven't paid you for the image, because that's the reality of social media nowadays. If you post it, be willing for it to be stolen. That is my golden rule. Life is too short to start chasing people. You can't be surprised if you go and create a beautiful image and it contains someone's product that they won't want to share it. But that's why I always put lots of text over big brands, so that even if they screenshot it, they're still going to promote my business, whether they like it or not.
But in another instance as well, last week we did a beautiful setup shot, kind of still life style, but a horse over the stable, nice pair of riding boots, sack taddle.
Tack
and saddle. And say the boots were a nice brand,
yeah,
you can then go and,
well, that was my point too.
Sorry, you then go and ask the brand if they want to buy it.
That's the great thing about commercial, is there's never leave anything else on the table. So if you've self-commissioned, I love how close Emily's getting. It's
because it's the key to, we need to move on.
If you self-commission and you do create a lovely setup, you can then connect with all of those brands you happen to have in your setup. Like, oh, surprise, I wanted to work with Ariat. Well, guess what? I've just taken a full shoot of an Ariat wear, and I did want to work with Ariat, and I made sure she was wearing no other brand. I mean, she was wearing clothes, but nothing that was recognizable. She was wearing no other brand other than beautiful Ariat boots. And I focused the whole shoot as if I was shooting it for Ariat. And then afterwards, I contacted them saying, just to let you know, I've just done this model shoot. If you're interested in purchasing any of the images, they are this much, and here's a link to the gallery. They purchased 2 of the images, but then they commissioned me 3 times after that to shoot for them in a lifestyle way, because I still didn't come away from my style. So it's a really good, actually, it's a really good way of getting into brands.
Do you shoot with plenty of room around the subject on purpose so that you can add text, etc. around the subject? I know you answered that earlier, but the next bit was, would you then recrop the same image for a different market or look?
So I would shoot the same image, cropped in, wide, space to the left, space to the right. I don't like cropping any image, because I guarantee you the second you take a wide shot, and let's say, so I shoot with a Canon, I don't shoot with a Nikon 850D, and it's about 8,000 pixels along the longest edge. The second I feel like, okay, well, that's my wide shot, I'll just crop in for a tight shot. That's when your client says, I'd like to buy that for a billboard. And you're like, crumbs, I cropped it and now I can't do that. So when you are on a commercial shoot, this is why I was saying you will not get 120 different images. You may get 20 images of the same setup that's shot from cropped in, 3/4, spaced out, big space above and below, space to the right, space to the left, whatever it might be. That's obviously not 20, but you get the point.
I think we've already answered this one. Are you selling direct from your own website? Yes.
Personal, and I'll tell you this, the reason, the story behind it as well. It's okay. The reason behind it is that if you an amazing fine art shot of a horse, it's in black and white, the horse is rearing and it's doing something amazing. and you put it on something like Getty, you'll genuinely get £1 per time it's sold. You are better off having it on your website, picking up the phone, making actual connections. Even if you sell it for £80, that is 80 times it being sold on Getty for selling it once, with someone who may well then go, do you know what? That was great. That image has made us money. It's made us stand out on the shelf in WH Smith. I'm going to work with that photographer again. And I'm going to commission her going forward to get what we need for the next feature.
So when you do a model release, because you intend to sell the images, how do you keep your model happy when you could technically be making hundreds of pounds? How do you stop them coming after you for a cut of the commission? I guess it's the same with, say, a gun dog, etc.
Yeah, so it's just being totally upfront with anyone who's going to model for you. So you would say, I'm creating a commercial gallery online on my website. Some of these images might be sold to brands. These images might be sold to magazines. You'll be super famous within a year. As a thank you for modeling with me, would you like £400 worth of print credit? Would you like a set of 10 digitals? Would you like 150 quid in your back pocket? You have to be very honest with them that you may not sell one image from their shoot. So that's the risk you take as the creator. You may sell nothing from that photo shoot and they might walk away with 150 quid in their pocket. You might sell it to IKEA and have £500,000 in your pocket, but the model is happy with whatever they're happy. And we talk about it in the training barn as well. What's your non-resentful price? So if you're paid 20 quid to go and do a photo shoot, you're going to be resentful from the second you get out of bed to go and do that photo shoot. Whereas if you're paid £700 to go and do a photo shoot, you don't care if the client's running a little bit late or the horse isn't quite ready on the dot, because you haven't got a resentful price.
I also think most...
Again, they just want...
I think you don't need to express potentially how many hundreds of pounds you could make, because you might only make 35 quid on their entire shoot. You never know. So I think for me, it's always been best to pay in imagery. Say, you know what, have the images so you can enjoy them, but you know, I will be trying to sell them, and it may be for 20 quid, it may be for 50, but it's such an unknown market.
But again, we don't get asked. People just want to model for you. We don't get asked this.
Right. So what pricing do you sell? Does it depend on who wants them for your gallery?
So Ems and I made a bit of an agreement this morning that we're not going to get too deep into pricing, because it's a big module in itself and there is no quick answer. But again, I would go with whatever you don't feel resentful. So you can sell your images for £15 each if you want to. If you want to see your phone pinging going, yep, another sale, another sale, another sale, that's one. But it's a big module because there is licensing involved if you want to do that. It does matter who you're selling it to. Or you can do bish bosh bang, every image is £80, no matter where it's going, no matter who's buying it, no matter how they're going to use it. But with pricing, you do you.
If you do a private shoot, do you then get them to sign a model release?
Yeah.
At the time, so you can use the images commercially, sell them yourself? Yeah,
so what I do with my private shoots is that I will do the shoot and we have the whole experience, and I don't mention about using them commercially at all. 3 months after the shoot, I will revisit the gallery and I will look through the gallery and I'll think, do any of these images fit into a commercial gallery? So if they do have a pair of lovely boots on and no other brand is included, or I just know those sort of images that, and the only way you're going to know this is to go and look on Google, to go and look on Pinterest, to go and get magazines and see what images are being sold. What are magazines buying right now? There's so many images of horses stood in a field for haylage sales, for tractor sales, for, you know, grass supplements, that whatever it might be. How many of you have got an image of a horse stood in a field right now on your hard drive? I would say probably everyone. So what you can do is 3 months after the photo shoot, you come back and say, I revisited your shoot And it's been one of my favorite to shoot this year. And I know that a few of my commercial clients may be interested in featuring some of your shots. Would you be okay with me putting them forward to the commercial? I'd need you to sign a model release. Now, 1% will go, absolutely not. I don't want to see my face. And I always include the ones that I'm looking to put forward. So I'd say these 5, I think would be bought by a commercial client. And again, I know in everyone's head right now, you are all thinking, yeah, but they're going to ask for money. They don't. I promise you they don't. I've got a very well-known American client who I flew out to America, shot her her farm, her horses, her daughter, and then the architects who built the farm 15 years ago got in contact with me because she gave them my contact details and said, we're doing a hardback book and we'd love your, rather than sending out our photographer to the barn, can we just buy the images off you? And they spent £3,000 buying those images off me. She's not looking for £3,000. She's just so happy that her farm and her horses are featured in a hardback book. She doesn't want money for it. She's had her shoot. She's enjoyed the experience and she's got some images. She's not looking to make money. We're the ones looking to make money.
So just one last comment from Leslie. We're always really good at putting obstacles in the way. I've put a huge block on me progressing after my client goes to me, but I just need to get back in the saddle, pardon the pun.
Very good.
So that rounds up the official webinar and Q&A section, and Hannah's just going to very quickly tell you about our 2-day in-person course. And just to emphasize, there are only 2 spots left. It's a bit of a game changer, so over to you, Hannah.
So we have got it 28th of February and the 1st of March, which sounds like it's 2 separate days, but they are back-to-back days. And we're going to be going through everything from concept to briefs that are built for businesses, not just for self-commissioning. So how to build a brief so that you are commissioned by magazines or by sponsors, by brands, by equestrian and country businesses. Also model releases, pricing, licensing, marketing to these businesses, and what do businesses want to see from you? What are they actually interested in hearing about from your social media, from your website, from you actually speaking to them over the phone, and also how to get your toe into the door with them. We have tried so many different things that have worked, where rather than doing a fancy website and just sat back and waiting for someone to say, your images are amazing, I think we're interested in commissioning you for a full shoot of our new Lemur set, you actually have to get your foot in the door first and show them what you can do. So we walk you through that. And we've got 2 beautiful photo shoots, and they're not portrait shoots, they're commercial shoots. So we're going to show you how one will be a self-commission and one will be briefed, and we will show you how to complete a brief, fulfill a brief, and make a client very happy. And obviously any shots that you take on the course can be used in your portfolio. You can't sell the photos, you can use them in your portfolio. So if you're looking to break into this market and you just want to see, well, maybe I would enjoy it, maybe I wouldn't, then we've got 2 spaces left on the 28th of February, 1st of March, and we'd love to see you at the barn.
It's £1,200. Did you?
£1,200.
£1,200. And it includes a really delicious lunch.
Well, 2 in fact.
As
Just
so many people will testify, the lunch alone is worth it.
And we will close the doors at the end of next week. So if you are interested and you'd like a further chat with me or Emily or Joss, give us a shout, because we're happy to sit on the phone for 20 minutes and walk you through. Maybe you've got some questions or concerns about, 1, investing that sort of money, or 2, a lot of people worry about coming on an in-person course because they feel like they're not the right person for the course, or they feel like they'd be left behind, or they don't know enough about photography. Absolutely not. You can come with a tiny camera and you'll still learn so much. There is no level where you can't learn and be inspired and get more love for this industry. So everyone is welcome. And we always say there's no stupid questions, so you can't fail.
No, well, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. It's been wonderful to sit on tech today. Didn't know what I was doing, but I think I vaguely managed
I
it.
mean, I don't see anyone crying or screaming at the screen saying my question wasn't asked. So yeah, it's been so nice to be back at a webinar. Blooming lovely.
Definitely go and smash it.
Yeah.
Start on your commercial journey, even as just a bit of a side income stream. And we're here, and we are actually in the studio for the rest of the day together. So if anyone wants to call us about the course, sort of vaguely in the studio together. If anyone wants to call us about the course, please feel free. Anyway, that's us.
And the recording will be available. So if you want to rewatch it all, feel free.
Take care, guys.
All right.
Bye.